Welcome to Getting Personal, a monthly podcast diving deep into the stories of the heartbeat of HR. Brought to you by Compt, a global lifestyle benefits platform where companies empower employees with benefits and rewards they'll use and appreciate, whoever and wherever they are in life.
Joining me today is Dr. Simone, an expert in the stressors and wellness of high achievers. She works extensively with individuals and institutions that navigate high pressure environments. And as a complex trauma psychotherapist, university professor, and researcher, she specializes in high achievers' growth and health. Her warm and humorous approach, which I have gotten to experience myself, is a results driven perspective that fosters emotional development, strategy, and personal growth. Kay, I am so delighted to have you with me here today.
Thank you so much for offering me the opportunity. I love the work that you do and the work that your company does. It's so needed and important.
Thank you. I would say likewise. Um, when you and I met some weeks, months, whatever time is ago, you
Mm,
gave me some insight into your personal life and experiences that you've had that make you just uniquely you. And I want to talk about those things today. Starting
sure.
with, let's go back to baby K. You grew up
Mhm.
in the Dominican Republic and then you
Yes.
raised four daughters in Long Island. One daughter is a lot for me. I cannot imagine four. Tell me
Mhm.
about those experiences and then how they shaped your approach to what you're doing now.
I think one of the important things to highlight is that being born and raised in the Dominican Republic really positioned me into a very, very advantageous position, which was being very in tune with who I was, being very aware of community, being very connected to the needs of others in addition to my own personal needs. So that positioned me very well into the work that I do, but also into being a mother. I have really great role models with my mother, and also in other organizations that I participated when I was little. I had a lot of mentors. I had a lot of people that were invested in me. So that made it very easy for me to know like what I wanted to do, how to pursue things, how to position myself in places that I was easy to help and easy to support. And that made a lot of difference. When it has to do with the girls, I was raised in a family where education and being
Mm,
connected into the community, not only receiving but giving back, was really, really important. So we lived in Long Island, and the girls attended prep schools in very competitive environments. And even them growing up, I was able to position them and support them in ways that were a little bit more advanced than other kids because it's something that had been taught to me. So as they were growing up, seeing some of the challenges they had to endure in schools that are very competitive and that are funnel schools into top universities and top programs, opened my eyes into how early children and our family members are younger start needing to have additional support, additional tools, and additional resources. So
right.
being in very competitive schools from the girls perspective and being a mother was different, and that kind of attached to my own story of being a student that attended schools on financial aid on very competitive scholarships. So as a student myself and then later as a mother, I was able to see what are some of the gaps that even if the schools are fantastic are left, that parents and us, people, we can fill up not only for ourselves but for the people that we love. So being in that space of high pressure competitive tests, very competitive placements also created like almost this kind of small galaxy where I was able to see it as a mother, as a former student, as a volunteer parent, as a fundraiser. So that created a really great space in which I built my career.
I imagine it's something that provides, comfort and relatability for your
Mhm.
clients as well, because it's just always nice to know that whoever you're speaking to or confiding in or trying to learn things about yourself has sort of gone through those things themselves in so many different ways. That's fascinating to me. Is that kind of what drew you to
Yeah.
continue your work with high achievers in particular?
Yes. So one of the things that drove I always wanted to be a therapist since I was little, but I was born in the Dominican Republic, as I said, and that was not a career back 40 years ago. So my dad was like, yeah, I don't know about that. You should study business. There's always a need for business. And that's what I did. But I always longed for that um, career in that type of, environment. I'm a geek. I love learning, reading, every self-growth book. I have it, I read it, I underlined it, shared it over. So in my work as I was a legal assistant in a high-powered um, law firm that does corporate work. And on my way to go to law school. So I was studying for law school and taking the LSATs, and Kaplan took all my money with all the little classes they do. So I always was thinking like, oh, either I'm going to be an attorney as my second career, or I'm going to be a psychotherapist. And I pursue both things at the same time. Kind of getting mentors that would guide me, going into open houses and all of that, bringing my physical body into the spaces. I'm a really big proponent of that. And when I was working in this very high pressure law firm, my work in the law firm pivoted into being the person that supported other people and talked them off the ledge and made their life a little bit more bearable. And it veered from the being like the technical support, with the merging documents and all of that. And all of a sudden, I found myself in a space where the senior partners were coming to me for advice. I was able to support the junior associates when they were just like, I cannot work 19 hours a day. I haven't seen my girlfriend, or like people were making decisions that had to do with their fertility. So while I was working there, I became the go-to person for that. And a lot of my work that was more legalese and that was more like corporate and like paperwork, it was kind of moved off strangely
Hmm.
of my queue. And I started doing a lot of stuff that had to do with wellness. It had to do with collaborating with others and just listening and being, very private about certain things. So to a certain extent, in that junction of my life, I was pursuing both things. And the reason I had that job was because I wanted really good recommendations into law school. This was the top corporate law firm in the world. And I was like, oh, this is going to be perfect. And eventually I found my way to that. Then because I lived those worlds, whether it was competitive schools, competitive work settings, both from the place of an employee, but also a supported, and the other place from a student, a mother, and a volunteer, I was able to get like this really important insight into the lives of the people that are in those spaces. And in the people that are in those spaces, cookie cutter support, coaching, or therapy is just not going to work. Somebody's going to be like, yeah, you don't need to be 99 percentile. Or, yeah, you can go to this other law school. Or like, yeah, just get a job that is less taxing. But you're like, I have been pre-med and in law, in med school and taking the MCAT, and I have literally sacrificed some of my clients 12, 15 years of their lives. So like,
Yeah.
this is my dream. That's just not, I cannot breathe myself, or the manifestations about this. I need a strategy. I need tools. I need to regulate my nervous system so that I can continue to pursue that. And within that walk, I can start looking at different opportunities that could be potentially less taxing. Or I can put a timestamp on, when is this horror going to end? When am I going to get out of residency? Do I really need a fellowship? And you can start with appropriate care and appropriate support, making decisions that are not only rooted in the dream that you have, that maybe you built for yourself when you were 15. That's
Yeah.
also a big thing. Well, how does that incorporate with the life that I'm building now? When I speak about high achievers, some people are like, oh, what do you mean you only treat high achievers? And I say, well, high achievers is anybody that's building a life that has never been built in their life bloodline.
Mm.
So it maybe being a high achiever to you means having a job where you can provide for your family and leave at 5 o'clock and not have to think about it anymore. High achieving for you might be having a family system or a marriage where there is no screaming and there is no putting people down, but there's more equality. High achieving for you could be in mothering, being able to manage your career, but giving yourself the permission to step down from being a CFO or being a part-time CFO, or maybe creating your own company and becoming a fractional CFO, so that you can tend to your elder parents or tend to your grandchildren when they're born. So being high achievers means that you're pursuing something that it was not an option for somebody else within your bloodline, and that now for you can be a priority, and that you can create a blueprint so that you can work towards it.
That's a really interesting way to frame what high achieving looks like, because I think so many people would automatically assume it's the individuals in society who are going above and beyond, bending over backwards for whatever they want to do, breaking their backs for whatever they want to do, creating an entire, I guess, maybe even identity around those things
Mhm.
because they've spent so long working toward that singular goal, which resonates with me because I spent however many years thinking I was going to do one thing and work in journalism. And then when I had that moment of this isn't for me, I started questioning everything. Maybe this high achieving person that I am or thought I was, maybe that's not the path that I want to go down. And maybe I'm doing it in a way that isn't balanced for me or unhealthy for me. And how do I continue what I'm passionate about without feeling like I'm completely pivoting or letting go of all of the hard work that I had initially put into this? And when you had said that, these are people who have been maybe doing this for 12, 15 years, it's been
Yeah.
their identity. I can
Mhm.
imagine how difficult it must be to y- realize that you still want to continue those things, but also come to terms with, well, how can I do this in a way that's more healthy for me? How can I put my mental
Right.
wellness and my well being first and still be the high achiever and still be that first in my family to do whatever is
Mhm.
a goal for me?
Right. And what we're missing in many aspects at times is like a lot of people are building this life that nobody has had, and we don't have
Yes.
a blueprint. So there is a big percentage of the population that has a blueprint where it's like, oh, we were journalists. My grandfather was a professor for NC State. And you're like, your grandfather, like 80 years ago? Like, right? Like, oh, I come from a family of doctors or of
Yeah.
therapists, of I don't know, builders, contractors. They have a blueprint. They have a network that is already built in. So it's a lot easier for you to try those things out from a place of safety and kind of figure out at the beginning, this is not for me. Or even it's a lot easier for certain people that have this type of web support to advance in those fields because they have the hack, right? They have the hack, they have the connection, read this book before, take this class in advance, go into this internship, you're going to get a fabulous recommendation. They have all those things. And many of us have to figure that out from scratch, like in real time, as
Oh,
also many of our family members don't understand why we're doing this, why we're getting this additional credential, why we're switching this good job into this, you're going to go into this VC fund, this startup. And a lot of our family members don't understand that. So
yeah.
that also creates an additional stress. So when I do the work that I do with people, when I do workshops and facilitation, I work a lot with directors of HR. They bring me in into the workshops that are not going to be cookie cutter. And that when you say, for example, my company spends billions and millions of dollars on EAPs, on
Mhm.
on different benefits. I think it starts from the place where many of us don't believe that we need those services, and we don't create a structure to actually use, let's say, what Compt offers. We don't
Mhm.
have reminders in our phones. We don't have, anything is not automated. We don't put it in our calendars. We don't even know in many instances when we go into EAPs or go into, let's say, psychology or psychotherapy support or like coaching. Many companies have business coaching or executive coaching many times because many of us have been doing everything by ourselves,
Yeah.
teaching ourselves certain things, finding our own path for our degree. Many people have to fill out their own FAFSAs because their parents just don't have the mastery of the language or the terms, or don't have an advanced education. And they have had to do these things themselves. They have to choose their major. They have to strategize internships. And you're a little kid. You're 16, 17, 18,
Yeah.
having to do that. Even as a 20 plus year old, you have to decide and have the vision to say, I'm going to pursue this graduate degree and I'm going to go to these open houses. It's just very complex and strategic things have to be done, but you don't have a backup. Many clients, when I meet with them doing workshops or presentations, so I collaborate a lot in prep schools, boarding schools, MBA programs, companies in finance, tech, medicine, law, high pressure
Mhm.
environments. They don't even know how to tap into some of the benefits that I have. You say like, okay, so I have an EAP. They think there's a particular threshold that has to be met before they pull up and make this appointment with this person. They
Right.
think that there is something that they have to do. There's a particular way that they have to show up. Something so little as I have to put on an outfit. Listen, if I'm having therapy on Saturdays, you're gonna just catch me whichever way you're gonna catch me. I'm gonna have my pajamas on. I will potentially have a face mask on, and I'm gonna have the language to be able to say, yes, horrible things have happened to me in my early life, But this session, I needed to be concentrated around how can I become a better asset for my company because there are layoffs looming.
Yeah.
No therapist is entitled to your story and your narrative. You can decide, I am having a really hard time with my teenage daughter, and that is the thing that I'm going to discuss in this particular appointment. This is going to be the goal that we're going to be pursuing, whether it is like checking up on my health, giving myself the priority to do all my checkups, creating a list of like, oh, this doctor, my PCP, my primary physician, my blood work, all of these small things. A lot of people feel that they don't deserve some of the gifts that they're receiving
Mm.
in their personal connections, but also when it has to do with their job. Oh, I'm not gonna catch an AAP. Nothing really horrible has happened to me. Like my dog didn't die, my grandma didn't pass, something horrific. I didn't move 5 states away and left all my friends. But if we're able to address those things when they're just small things, they don't develop into chronic conditions. We have to look at our benefits that the companies are providing us as preventative work. My daughter is having a hard time having friends. This is something that is good enough for you to find her an additional adult that is neutral and that she can confide in and that she can work and develop tools and skills for. It doesn't have to wait. If you have a 9-year-old that's really, really anxious all the time, this is when we bring in the services. So they teach them mindfulness and breathing and journaling and even how to develop the communication with you as a parent so that they can share the thing that is hidden that is actually stressing them out. You don't
Right.
wait until that same daughter is 16 and going into high school. You don't wait until that same daughter has to transition into boarding college where
Hmm.
she's going to be now with another 20,000 people. So it's going from that space of, I am my most important asset for myself, for my company, for my relationships. And I deserve that. I deserve to have another adult that's being paid for my company that's just going to listen to me complaining. I don't know. You can complain about your mother in law. You can complain about the grass is not growing. Your hair is thinning. Menopause is getting you. It doesn't have to be this major, horrific thing for you to start creating the space because you want to be supported when something happens. Life is
Yeah.
challenging, things are coming, the environment is changing, challenges with the crisis of the economy. Those things are good enough for you to create a space of 45 minutes or 60 minutes for you to have this person as your supporter who's going to help you troubleshoot these things, right? So it's going from that space of I am important. How can I create a team for myself? I look at the benefits my company is giving, the benefits in the community, potentially some of the things that my church or my social club is offering. If Beyonce has a team, LeBron has a team, everybody that has something really important as their goal and their job, they have teams of people. So we
Hmm.
have to look around, whether we're students or employees, and say, who can be my team? Who can I draft into my team? What things are already built in, but I can slowly develop the ability to delegate things, to bounce things, of these people, to get like this specific view with another skill and another experience that can potentially enrich how I make my decisions. How can I center myself in the space of I deserve the world and everything in it? And when I come to terms with that, then I can share the world with everybody else from a
Yeah.
place of centeredness and joy.
When we think about the companies that do offer these benefits,
Mhm.
and we know that people struggle to use them or access them, what do you think the real barriers are? Are they internal barriers with the employee, or are they external barriers preventing people from accessing, mental health support, even if it's available? Whether it's maybe not communicated well enough, they don't know how to understand their benefits packages, or do you really think it is something that is, well, it's not that big of a deal. I don't necessarily need to
Mhm.
access this benefit.
Yeah. Mhm. I think it goes both ways. I think companies and the companies that do it, like when I come into workshops and I do trainings, the utilization of their EAPs and even their medical benefits
Mm,
skyrockets. There is a very big gap between the regular consumer, the employee, and the services. There is a very big gap between this is what's going on in my life, but what is the modality that is appropriate for me? How do I even interview somebody to see if they're the right fit? we were raised with this is the doctor that's in the book that I don't know Edna is covering. So you go like any, mini, miny, mo, and then you pick somebody. And
Hmm.
when you show up, you go from the place of first you have to gather the strength to in your mind based on what you've seen on TV. Think you have to disclose all of your tea with this person that you just met. Nobody's entitled to your story. The therapeutic relationship has to be developed, right?
Right.
So you don't have the power language to say when you're interviewing somebody, nobody has taught us to say, oh, so these are some of the things that are happening with me, in vague terms. You don't have to tell somebody that you're interviewing the deep, nitty gritty, stuff. But you say, what is your experience with people that have the same presentation with me? That's a question. Another question, what is the length of time for which you have treated them? That's another question. Another question is, what have been the outcomes of people that have been in treatment with you for 6 months? Because therapy is not something in which you have to be there forever.
Hmm.
Services is not something I'm signing up with this. I'm going to be 2, 3, 4 years of therapy. Sometimes people come to me and they say, oh, I've been in therapy for 5 years. And I'm like, doing what? What, what, what were you doing? So unless you have a major psychiatric condition that needs ongoing support, most of us, if we are working with the appropriate provider, something that doesn't take years and years. You learn the tools, you reprocess your trauma. There are modalities in which you can reprocess and release it.
Hmm.
So it's not part of your nervous system anymore. So, oh no, I just went to my therapist to vent. Venting is not therapy. You can vent to your friends for free and buy some tacos with a copayment. Like we don't even need to do all of that, right? But I think it's both ways in which we don't know some of the modalities as a regular person. Sometimes we go in, we don't know how to interview these people. There's a great imbalance of power, right? So when we go into these interactions with the therapist, we want to like have this persona and we are thinking a lot about their feelings and we're not doing, it's a science-based deliverable service that is paid. It's not free.
Yeah.
So anything that is paid and that is science-based should have a deliverable and an outcome. There should be an upward progression of you getting better, of you needing your therapist less and less. My intention when I onboard somebody is so that we reprocess, you get the tools that you need, you get the skills up, you try in this, for some people, one of their first safe relationships with another adult where they can show up as themselves. So you practice all of this with me. We have assignments over the week. A lot of strategy, a lot of positioning. It's not only, woo woo and blah, blah, blah. There are real situations and real like big things on the line, your promotions, your job, your health, your marriage. And we talk about that from this very, very, very macro point of view where we are addressing things little by little, but in an ongoing basis so that you can get better and you can graduate. My intention is never for you to be on my caseload for an unending amount of time
Hmm.
because I have a lot of people that want to work with me. So I don't need to do that. Right. But it has to be from that place of what is the goal? How are we going to get there? What are the skills that I'm learning? Venting is great because it's just, it's off of me. But how do we prevent the same thing that happened from happening again? How do we
Right.
recreate your branding, the way that you think about yourself, not only in your personal relationships, but also at work? How transparent are you being about the things that matter? Right? Where are you going to go in the career? What are your prospects within the company? How can you become more of an asset? Looking at busy work that you shouldn't be taking on anymore and positioning yourself for the projects that really matter and give you visibility and give you protection in the long run. So
Yeah.
it's going from that place of self-empowerment, but also a lot of clarity, verifying your values so that you can align with the opportunities that you have in the company. Sometimes company bring me in, and I do work with employees that are on PIPs, which are performance plans.
Yep.
And in addition to helping these employees regulate their nervous system and gain some clarity on their values and why there is a mismatch in the job and the description of the job and what they're producing. And many employees are able to, look at their life in general, create support for the people in their lives that are needed, whether it's an elderly parent using some of the AAP stuff, a child that is, going through some challenges or that has any special need, giving themselves the opportunity to use up their tools and their resources and ask for help. And then
Right.
at times it might be that that employee is able to raise the level of functioning at work and also the level of joy in their personal life. And other times the employee realizes after doing some soul searching and looking at their values and what they want the life that they're building to look like, they realize that the company is not the right match. and they're able to transition themselves without the need of lawsuits and drama and conflict and upheaval. So it's like this very organic place where you can start asking yourself these questions and see, am I the right match? What are the skills am I missing? Right? I did a TED talk last year, and one of the things that I said was, in the iPhone, which is the greatest piece of technology ever invented, upgrades itself every 30 days. What makes you believe that me and you can just sit here and be stagnant? The
Right.
iPhone, you're minding your business, and your iPhone is like, whether you want it or not, 12 o'clock tonight, I'm going to upgrade myself, right?
Yep.
Isn't that you're not good at presenting and you're getting negative feedback for that? Or is it that you have to give yourself the permission to say, I am not really great at presenting. Let me sit on this and see what traumatic things happened when I was younger. Maybe a teacher ridiculed you. There's a reaction in your body that makes you sweat in your armpits every time you have to show a deck.
Mhm.
Where is
Yeah.
that coming from? Where is that coming from? Potentially doing some reprocessing with the original images, but also giving yourself the permission to say, you know what? I'm going to start listening to podcasts that have to do with speaking in public. Maybe I'm going to give myself the opportunity to go to a Toastmaster meeting in my town. They teach you how to do public speaking.
Mhm.
This is a task that you can create little efforts around. It's not a death sentence. I'm never going to be able to speak in public. I'm never going to be good in Excel. No, I'm having this issue. I'm having this feedback from my higher ups that my decks are not on point. My Excel is. I'm going to scoot over and tell my husband, my wife, whoever. My mom. I'm going to bring the children over. I'm going to go over there to the community college and sign up for this Excel class that is covered by my tuition reimbursement. But it's
Yeah.
giving you that place of empowerment, in that place of, just because this is like this now, it doesn't mean it has to be like this forever. And where are things coming from? It's not a personal flaw that you're not good at doing every single thing everybody else is good at, but it's a personal quest to try to patch up what are the lackings without internalizing it as, oh, I'm a loser, I'm bad at this, I just get very nervous. Yes, you do. And I'm going to start listening to little podcasts. I'm going to download this book from Audible. And as I'm doing my chores and going, to do the shopping or waiting for my daughter or my son for football or ballet or whatever, I'm going to start listening. Because then what happens is when your brain sees you do something about the thing that is stressing you and that's creating, your brain lowers the cortisol production.
Mhm.
Because when your brain goes around, the whole job of your brain is to keep you safe and alive. Your brain doesn't care about you being happy. Your brain doesn't care about you not being anxious. You're going to be safe and you're going to stay alive. That's their whole job. So when your brain goes around into your calendar, into your day to day and says, what has she done about the public speaking, or about, oh, I don't feel good about my clothes, or, oh, I went to this meeting and everybody was dressed. Okay, you can acknowledge that and say, let me look at my EAP. Is there any classes? Is there a master class that I can buy? Is there a podcast? Is there a couple of influencers that I can follow that are aiming their efforts towards people that look like me, my body type? There is something we can do about it. It doesn't have to go from 0 to 100,
Yeah.
but if we can create the space to give ourselves the permission to learn and patch up the things that are ongoing ruminations, ongoing things that stress us out, and things that continue to rob the joy in our day to day, both at home and in our work space.
Wow. Oh my gosh, my mind is flying. There's so many things that you said that I am starting to realize in real time because I was going to ask you about what companies should be doing, beyond EAPs. And then
Mhm,
you had mentioned so many specific examples that I
mhm,
realized were personal and professional development. And I guess maybe I knew it subconsciously, but now I'm bringing it to the surface that those things are types of wellness. They are types of health and wellness programs that
yes.
I know so many companies are interested in offering their employees as they're considering what holistic well-being looks like beyond just offering a gym membership or a meditation app or something like that.
Mhm,
You can dive deeper into the individual and support things that could be the result of like personal work and work that you are doing in therapy. Like I know that you know how you said I every time I get up and give a presentation, I just sweat profusely. And where is that
Mhm,
coming from? And maybe that Toastmasters class could help. And that's where we
mhm.
see professional development stipends come in. And
Right.
the connections that you have my
Mhm.
brain making right now, I don't even know where to
Yeah.
go from here.
Right. And then this is exactly what I do when I come and present. So all of you HR directors that need me, call me. I got you. This is exactly the thing because let's go back to the oldie but goodie gym
Yeah.
stipend.
Yes.
For the person to go to the gym and actually use it, first they have to give themselves permission and look at the structure of their schedule and see when they're going to sneak in this gym visit. There's outfits that now we have to think about and what am I going to wear? Is it okay if I wear this? And then now that's tying up into some other stuff or maybe some body shaming or I'm in this weight and I want to go to this other weight, but what am I going to wear? How are people going to see me? Did you bring a bottle? First of all, you can give yourself the space to give yourself the permission to do that. And then we have to go into logistics. And I'm going to share with you a little example. So I rejoined the gym.
Mhm.
My Peloton went back, like everybody else's Pelotons that went into Facebook Marketplace. And I was like, I'm gonna go to the gym. There's a gym called Lifetime. And
Mhm.
Lifetime is a gym where they have a pool and they have sauna and they have all the bells and whistles. They have a cafe and you can sit there forever. And then it's fabulous and marvelous. So that was an option. The problem is that the way that my brain works, the way that I'm going to go to this gym every day and prance around in this pool and in this sauna, and I'm like, oh, let me go get a green juice. Okay. Oh, this is cute here. I can sit here and I'm going to do every single other thing other than actually work out if
Yeah.
I was to get this membership. So because I have done the work to center myself on how my brain works, how I see time, what are the things sometimes I have to put myself on a behavioral plan to get things done because my brain just wants to be like, oh, let me go cut paper. It'd be so cute if I could just collage and drink tea the whole, that's where my brain wants the fun. So I know myself enough that after I sat there to make the decision of where to join, I went to the very regular Planet Fitness,
Mhm.
10.99. I don't know what is it, $25 a month. Clean enough, nice enough, because I knew the way that my brain works, the way that my schedule is set. If I joined Lifetime, I was never gonna go. And if I went, I was going to be like, God knows, getting massages and then over there drinking juice. Planet Fitness is cheaper. It's kind of
Mhm.
same distance, but I know that it's clean enough for me to go in and go out for 30, 40 minutes and come back home. There's no sauna, there is no pool, that is nice enough and clean, but you're going to be in and out. So
Mhm.
even having the executive functioning by having this type of conversations of, yes, you would love this, but what is the thing that's going to work right now based on the goals that you have and the time that you have? And
Mhm.
then after you make the decision, giving yourself the permission to just go and do that. It is cheap enough where if I don't go for 3, 4 days in a row, it's not a big deal. But when I go, I work out, I'm home 15 minutes later. So all of these benefits that we are giving people, they have to also have executive functioning and the structure in their schedule and giving that macro vision and that self-empowerment to say, this is good enough for right now. It doesn't mean it's a forever thing, right? I can speak with somebody, interview them. I can tell myself, I'm going to send 5 requests for consultations and I'm going to write, I need help with this, and that. These are my hours. These are my hours that I'm available, right?
Mhm.
Because the last thing you want that happens a lot, you reach out to a therapist, to a coach, to a nutritionist, and then her schedule doesn't work with your schedule. So now therapy and nutrition and gym became another stressor on top of all of the stressors that you have.
Right.
So it's like providing to the employees the ability and their in the skills so that they know how to choose a provider, how to interview a provider, how integrate that benefit into their lives is something that is as important as providing the benefit itself.
So then let me ask you, how do you think companies should be supporting employees through mental wellness? Do you think flexibility is a good thing or that maybe there's too much cognitive load there?
So flexibility is a good thing, but I think if companies did a better job at showcasing what does this look like? What does mental wellness support look like? In positioning mental wellness just as like another deliverable, another marketer, you know, towards executive functioning, towards executive presence, towards being able to do your job without the load of all of the things that you're holding in your head. If we
Mhm.
can snap our fingers and get your life together and get you with a system at home, when laundry gets done, if you need extra support, I have people that are making a ridiculous amount of money and they never consider getting a cleaning person to come and clean once a month.
Mm.
If you have the budget, there is no reason why you have to be cleaning. Once you're helping the economy because you're giving a job to somebody else, but you are repurposing that time for something else that is more profitable for you and your family. There's a lot of people that have very high incomes. They have never had anybody support them with their own like style or clothing or decluttering or letting go of things that were passed on to them from their families and their grandparents, things that they don't have a use for
Mhm.
anymore. So as you start to become lighter and have the ability to let go of certain things and not being so attached of in a specific identity and a specific way of looking or interacting with others. When you develop scripts, I teach my clients and in workshops, I teach a lot of scripts to people because realistically, we have 10, 15 things that are the same things that happen over and over again.
Yeah.
Especially at work, you have 15 specific interactions that you have over and over again. If you're able to center yourself and have some scripts to kind of triage things real quick, it's a lot easier. If you have a good center approach in communication with people, somebody can come to you and say, "Oh, so you can help me with this." Then you go into this anxiety attack of, "Am am I being a people pleaser? Or am I being a team player?" People pleaser and team player, they're cousins. They're like, right? But if you have done the work to center yourself around what is my job description, what are the high visibility things and high impact things that I can contribute in addition to my job description, if so I choose to do, then when this person comes with this thing that is not aligned with what you do, it's not part of your job, but they might be offloading stuff that's not yours to do, you can have a script. You don't have to think about, oh my God, how do I say it? Oh my God, then your arm can start sweating. Oh my God, oh my God. No. Then you can be like, boop, out of my pocket, roll out and say, thank you so much for thinking of me for this opportunity. But right now, my schedule in the next, I don't know, 12 weeks are structured around the deliverables that I need to go for promotion or the things that, I don't know, Jerry is assigning to me are a priority in the queue. And right now, I don't have the ability to support you in that. But thank you so much for thinking about me. Bye. You are not curt. You are not harsh. You stay professional. You redirected, have boundaries. Next, we can move on into the next thing. So all of those things, when it has to do with communication, with wellness, they impact the speed in which you do your job. They
Mhm.
impact your executive functioning on how you are prioritizing one thing over the other. I have clients that I'm like, oh, my boss gives me this, gives me this, gives me this. That. Okay, set up a meeting with him and then bring all the things that they're giving you. And then you say, hi, Meredith. Thank you so much. Holden. I really appreciate the trust you have in me, and getting things done. I wanted to verify with you these 14 things that you gave me, and I would like for us to take a minute just to prioritize it and bullet point it by numbers so that I know what my schedule in the next 3 weeks is going to look like.
Mhm.
You're getting the buy-ins. This woman assigned these things to you. She doesn't even remember what she's doing because she has an aging parent, menopause is taking her. Everybody, you're not that important that people have you front of mind and center all times. It is part of your job to be center in front of mind for people so that they can better utilize your skills. But this is something that you have to develop the ability to do. How to
Mhm.
share the wonderful things that you're doing, how to give back. I tell people, your HR people are very stressed all the time. Guidance counselors very stressed in school. We have been taught to overshare with them things that are not part of their job and it's not part of their licensing. And things that after we say them out loud, they stay in the subconscious of our directors and our managers.
Yep.
They're not the Supreme Court. It's not like you're like, oh, I shared this. Oh, no, no, you cannot put that. That's not part of the case. Put it on the back. You are oversharing in things. You're vicariously traumatizing other people with the things that are happening to you in your life, in your family, and you are damaging your personal brand in the company. These are not confidential space. I teach people that also. HR
Mhm.
people love me because after they see the workshop, people be like, oh, you can tell me, you can come to me as your supervisor and say, Okay, there was a change in my family structure last week. If you see that I'm a little slow at responding to you or sending the deliverables, please know that I am dealing with it and I am using the support that the company so generally has provided to us. I'm just going to ask from you, a couple of weeks of grace until I can get this figured out. I am okay. It's just going to take a little longer for me to reply. Okay, so do you giving your supervisor the ability to save face, to potentially repurpose some things to other people on the team, and to
Mhm.
have a knowledge? You don't start ghosting people. You don't start being curt. You don't start also telling people, oh, because what happened was that this one boyfriend, the NYPD came, but like the drama, Jerry Springer stuff has no place in the workplace.
Right.
This is a revenue generating institution. This is why they pay you. And jobs are complicated and sometimes are hard because there is a money tagline attached to it. Otherwise, it would be so easy. We'd just be like braiding each other's hairs and like collaging together, right?
Yeah.
When you accept that and also accept the fact that your supervisors have different stressors, that you have to hear what they're doing, not what they're saying. This is really important in personal relationships at work. Yeah, we care about wellness, this and that. 19-hour days. Oh, we need somebody that, thinks on their feet and is flexible and boom, 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 all these code words that they
Yeah.
give you in the job responsibility before you take the job. I'm really good at talking to people to center themselves. And I also do stuff with like the kids are in the schools, very, competitive. And the parents, I do stuff with the parents too. So schools hire me to do workshops and trainings with the parents, with the staff, with the students. Companies hire me for the HR department. They hire me for the C-level suite. They hire me to teach people how to manage up and also for people how to manage down so that we can have clarity. We can have clarity and we have a common language that we're speaking. You can be like, oh, yeah, I want my husband, oh, to have this high powered job in Wall Street and this and that. But then you're really upset when he's not there for baseball for the kids. I'm sorry. We traded your husband for that Range Rover, and he's gonna come here, seriously, and he's gonna make it as much as he can. And this is a conversation that we need to have. That we have this job, and maybe this job is no longer aligned with what we're trying to go as a family. That's absolutely acceptable. But we have to have that clarity to know if we're having these jobs that have 20-hour days, the
Mhm.
4 hours that are left, the family needs to create a structure so that if we have to do this for a certain amount of years because we're trying to build our wealth, we're trying to move up, that you're going through residency, maybe you need to get this fellowship. We have to know what kind of life we're building, and we have to be honest with ourselves of what is enough, what is appropriate, what can we delegate, what can we use some of this nice money that we're earning to make our lives a little easier for the rest of the family and come to terms with that. But that comes with clarity, with having understandings, with having these conversations, and always giving ourselves the opportunity to pivot. Regardless of your degree, regardless of your job, there are other opportunities within your company. There are other ways you can use your skills. And the more clarity you have around your own role, around your own heart, about what would be enough and what kind of life you're trying to build. I ask people as soon as they come to work with me, I say, okay, everybody, we're in a workshop. I tell them, I say, okay, let's just journal like you're in, second grade, real quick. What kind of life are you trying to build? Cue in little yoga music situation. Everybody starts, with a little Mont Blanc pants, depending on what group I'm working. Oh, what kind of life I'm trying to do. Okay, and then we're gonna read that after we're done. How align? Okay, so we're gonna do this other thing. There's this 40, list of values. Let's
Mhm.
rank our top 10 values with it. Little yoga music cue in. Okay, everybody. And then now we're gonna take the life that you're building and the values that you have, and we're gonna try to figure out how to make it make sense. There are things you can add, there are things you can let go of, there are things you can repurpose, but there's always that self-determination and, that free will that you can exercise. You don't have to be the same person forever. You can either let go of certain things or you can add certain things, right? You can stop using certain skills, but you can upgrade your skills in other areas. And all of that comes from the place of when you start centering yourself around, I deserve the world and everything in it. You start giving yourself permission to use all of the wonderful benefits your company does. It doesn't, oh, I can do journaling. I can do a writing class. Oh, I used to like in fourth grade, I used to like this, this, and that. Your job existent is not to make you happy. And people start crying, oh my God, Kay, don't say that. You're horrible. No, no. Let's roll it back. You can have a really good job and a great boss. Still, their purpose is not to make you happy. It's not to secure your joy. It's not to bring you peace. That's your job. That is your job. And then we are looking for spaces where, because we're communicating with clarity, because we're sharing how our brain works. When I am faster in the mornings than in the afternoons. So whoever is working with me, you better, whatever you're doing, you better do it before 5 o'clock, because otherwise it's not happening.
Right.
Right. But this is something that I'm vocal about, right? So that people that are going to contract me, that want to collaborate with me, they know, because I have said it, because I have scripts that say, I need snacks and water when I'm presenting. I'm just a girl. Like, I'm not gonna hope, right? So if we can create that space to become really aware of what we need and who we are, it's a lot easier for the world around us to kind of mold to that. Because, oh, I'm
Yeah.
gonna manifest this. Yes, you're manifesting things, but before you manifest, you have to give yourself a minute to see, what is that you want? What does it look like? Who's going to be there? How are you showing up? And when you think about your ideal self or your happy self, um, what am I missing to be that? Is it more joy? Is it more arts and crafts? Is it more friends? Is it joining a book club? Is it, using some of that HSA money so I can buy salt and stuff to do baths, like some vapor rub spray? Like, talk to me. What are we doing? Because I deserve that. It doesn't have to be like, oh, it's gonna be Tylenol in my prescription. Wow, boring. treat treat yourself a little bit.
Oh my gosh, Kay, I love talking
Yeah.
to you because every time I walk away and I truthfully sit in silence for about half an hour and I download everything that you said because it is everything that I need to hear. Even though we're talking about high level concepts, there are so many nuggets in there that just
Mhm.
apply to the employee experience, life
Yeah.
experience, things that we're all going through all the time, but maybe don't necessarily know how to put words to or put thought to.
Mhm.
That's why I'm
Yeah.
so grateful that you spent some time with me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Well, if anyone wants to reach you, where can they find you?
So I have my website, kdsimone.com, and you can email at info@kdsimone.com. And also you can find me on LinkedIn, living that good professional life, and you can slide into my DMs, tell me what kind of company you work for, what are some of the pain points that your employees are enduring now, and we can always find warm and fun ways that are interactive. It's not another workshop with the blah, blah, blah. You don't know what the lady said. People walk out with things that they can do, and with a self, you know, with a self that is renewed and strengthened within their own power and with their own talents. And that's what we want to do, to disseminate this light so that you can be like, oh, how does it, and what else can I do? And oh, she said that. And then you can apply to your day to day, because at the end of the day, like I said, we deserve the world and everything in it. And finally, in this generation and in this chronological time, we're giving ourselves the permission to go and get it.
Hell yeah, we do.
Thanks for joining us on Getting Personal, brought to you by lifestyle benefits experts at Compt. Remember, you can always find more stories and helpful insights on our LinkedIn and blog.